What choices will you make? You know, if someone would have asked me that at your age, I wouldn't have guessed that the choices I would make would lead me here. But the path that led me here started a long time before I was even born, with a simple choice that my mum made. My mum made a decision that wouldn't just destroy her life, it'd destroy mine as well. My mum came from a good home, she had A-levels, she worked in a bank, she had very good family values. And then she started going out and dating with my father, who just came from a different kind of background. A background that eventually led to him developing a heroin addiction. As I grew up, my dad was constantly out of the house, in and out of prison, and when he was out of prison, he was sleeping with other women in different houses taking drugs. So my mum made the decision to take drugs, believing that if she did that, my dad would come home and we could be a family again. That's not what happened. My dad ended up leaving her, and we grew up without a father. When I was 9 years of age, my mum was sentenced to 5 years in prison for dealing drugs. But as bad as that situation was, it gave me the opportunity to go and spend a few years with my auntie and uncle and be in an environment like my mum grew up in. And I came back home after my mum got out of prison full of ambition and hope and dreams and all these different things in my life that I wanted to do. But when my mum got set free from her prison, I went back to my council estate and got put back in mine. I was imprisoned by my family name. I was imprisoned by the place I came from, where you were written off kind of instantly. And I was also imprisoned by my own fears and cowardice, because I was afraid to be myself in front of my peers and actually tell them what was going on deep down in my heart, the things I actually wanted to do with my life. I wanted to have a family. I wanted to be different to my dad and stand by my children. And I wanted to be married for a long time, but I was too scared to say all that. And instead of just being me, I ended up becoming exactly what everyone expected me to be. So by the time I was your age, all my hopes and dreams were gone, and I was completely imprisoned by the choices I'd made. You know, I wish when I was your age I'd have had the courage and the strength to do what all of you are doing today. To come to this college, to take control of your life, is a massive thing to do, and I wish I'd have done that at your age, instead of believing the lie that I couldn't achieve anything with my life. When the truth is, I could have achieved a lot of things. And I started making decisions for my life based upon that lie, which took my life to a very different place. You know, if you'd have met the younger me, you'd have met me and thought that I was okay, that everything was all right. I was dealing drugs, selling drugs, making a bit of money. I had a lot of different things, but the truth is you'd have been wrong. You see, outwardly I looked fine, but inwardly I was dying inside. I remember walking the streets. I remember looking for somewhere to sleep. I remember wishing that I could just get my life sorted out. Just like I said before, imprisoned by the choices I'd made. But then one day opportunity knocked, and a local gang from my area who were making all of the money, a big organised crime gang, asked me to join them and become part of what they were doing, which was something I gladly accepted. But what I didn't know is this gang would eventually cost me everything, all of who I was, and more. The first couple of months were fantastic, but after that the masks soon started falling off. People were losing their life. I saw girls horrifically hurt. I saw a lot of different things that all of a sudden made me stop and question what I was doing and who I actually was. And I realised in that moment, I didn't want to do this anymore. This actually wasn't who I was. And so I decided I needed to get out. But getting out of this situation wasn't as easy as getting in. And it cost me quite heavily. I was kidnapped, I was beaten. And the only option left to me was to just get away. And here's me in a taxi realising my life was over. I'm absolutely petrified of being killed. As a man, I felt absolutely worthless. I was beaten, I was destroyed, and I just felt completely and utterly broken. And I knew I needed a new start. And I believed that taking this man's money would be the start for me. I didn't realise in that moment when I made the decision to pull a knife out on him, that instead of being a coward, this man would be brave and he'd fight back. I didn't realise in that moment I'd end up using that knife, but that's exactly what happened. And that's exactly what happens when we make decisions really without thinking about it. And the consequences of those decisions have far-reaching effects. That man's two children, who knew no fear, who always knew peace, now they realise there's nasty men in the world, and they go to sleep every night wondering if their dad's coming home the next day. And then his wife, who waved him away every night, now sits in a room, probably wondering and thinking and texting and ringing, unsure of if and when he's coming home. And how about that taxi driver? The first night he gets back in his cab, or the first time he goes down that alleyway, the first time he's living that scene out again, what does he remember? So that decision didn't just affect the taxi driver and his family, it also affected me and sent me to jail. You know, I've fought against imprisonment all of my life. And I used to think things like boundaries and rules and regulations were there to stop me living my life, to stop me having fun. But as I sat in that prison cell, I realised that the only thing that had ever imprisoned me was me, the choices I'd made. And as I did so, I realised that boundaries and rules and regulations, they weren't there just to prevent me from living. Actually, they were there to help to set me free. And today, as you start college, as you sit there wondering what you're going to do with your life, you have some boundaries and rules and regulations that are there in place for you. They're not there to stop you having fun. They're there to protect the college, but ultimately they're to protect you from making the wrong decisions with your life like I did. So take this opportunity, take this situation, and instead of rebelling against it like I did, see it for what it is. See it as a chance to better yourself and shape yourself and prepare yourself for what you're going to project yourself into in the future. See it as the chance to change who you are for who you want to be tomorrow. And so I decided to make better choices, better decisions. And the truth was that my past didn't have to determine my future. My choices could. And so I made that decision to put boundaries around my own life. Things like don't lie, don't steal, don't hurt people. I changed things about me so that I could have a better future. That ended up with me getting out of prison and getting set free. And following those rules and those boundaries for my own life turned me into the man who's sat before you today. A man who's free, a man who's happy and full of peace. A man whose life has been changed from the inside out. A man who is unrecognizable from the man who went to prison all those years ago. And so today I'm really thankful for all the things I have, for my beautiful wife, for my 4 gorgeous daughters, and for my lovely son. And I'm thankful for the opportunity I have to sit in front of a camera so that I can be speaking to you and telling you how unique you are, how priceless you are, how special you are, and how amazing you are. Now anything you ever want to achieve in your life is only a choice that stands before you. What choices will you make?